Hey everybody, it's Patrick Smith coming to you live here from Studio B. And man, have we got a great show for you tonight. We've got two great segments coming to you. It's going to be jam-packed. I'm going to be heading over there to the studio here in a little bit. The production team's been working all weekend. We had some animals in here last week. If some of you may have watched that, we had to repaint some of the floors. We've got some new flower arrangements out, but hey, they've been working hard all weekend. And hey, you guys ready to do this today?
We're all ready.
Woo! So here we go. I'm going to head on out and we'll see you out there. Yay! All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Good Day Paris. I'm your host, Patrick Smith, and we have got a great show for you. Starting to feel a lot like fall. You know, UT's winning some football games, so I don't know. Could be a cold winter. I don't know how you predict winter, based off of UT games, something like that, but I had to wear my jacket in this morning. 40 degrees outside, something like that this morning. So, and with fall in the air, there's some events coming up in around Paris that we wanted to bring your attention to. So we've got a few things coming up. One of the fun ones, I know our company is going to be participating in this, but downtown Paris is going to be having scarecrows on the square, going basically for the whole month of October, and people are entering in their scarecrows, and a lot of fun ones out there. You can go out there, take a look, take your picture with them. So a great event drawing people into downtown Paris over the month of October. Also, we've got in movie night in the park, Hocus Pocus 2, Fright Night. That's going to come up on October the 1st, which is just right around the corner. Going to be some food trucks there. Knott's Landing will have their food truck. Looks like we're going to have some coffee there. The Snack Shack will be there. So it'll be fun. Movies, it's $5 for adults. Kids under 12 are free, and that is at Eiffel Tower Park here in beautiful Paris, Tennessee. And over at the Home Place 1850s Working Farm, they're having Apple Fest, October 15th and 16th. You can go over and wide variety of apples, apple sauce, apple juice, apple pie. You can see how that's made. And just a great event over there, something to do on a nice fall weekend to head over to LBL to the Home Place 1850s Working Farm. So a lot of great things coming back. So a lot of things to do out in around Paris. Nice fall weather that we're having. Ball's winning still. I bet if I say it enough times, they might. I heard somebody say it feels a little bit like 1998. Was it cold in 1998? Does anybody know? I don't know. Okay. I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. So this week's episode of Good Day Paris is, we're going to be talking about some organizations here in our community that I think are at least some of the best that I can think of for places for our youth to go to. Another one, we're going to be talking about a project for domestic violence against women and children. But the first one that we're going to be talking about is the Real Hope Center. And the Real Hope Center's executive director, Mr. Carl Anderson, is in studio with us. And we're going to be talking about where the Real Hope Youth Center, what kind of got started, what they're doing now, and really the part that I know that I'm interested in and a lot of you are interested in is the vision for where that organization is headed. And the man that knows where it's headed is here in studio, and he's here, Mr. Carl Anderson. Carl, come on in here. All right, how are you, sir? Good. Have a seat here. Let's pull up and have a little conversation. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. Well,
yes,
thank you for taking the time to come out here on the show and talk to us about Real Hope Youth Center.
Patrick, it's my pleasure. Anytime I have a stump I can jump on and talk about this program, I'll do it, and I'm very glad to be here.
Well, it's a program that is, I feel like that is almost become synonymous with you. You've really taken it on as a passion project. You're the executive director, but I feel like that you really are the driver for it. And tell us a little bit about Carl and where that drive came from.
Well, I can tell you this. One of the first things that I told my board was that Real Hope needs a face. Mm-hmm. It needs a face. I do not have an ego problem, and I'm the very last person that likes to be up in front of people. But Real Hope does great things, has done great things since 1910 when we first started over at the old Central High School. Offering an after-school enrichment program for children. But a lot of people didn't know a whole lot about the specifics of what we did because it was kind of out of sight and out of mind.
Right.
And I wanted Real Hope to have a face, and I'm not afraid for it to be mine because I'm a man of passion. I believe in what we're doing, and I want to tell people to I'm a person you can get behind. I'm a person you can trust. Our youth need our help, and I believe that the people of Paris and Henry County are going to be able to catch this vision with me, and we're going to build a youth center for them.
Yeah. Now you're a leader. You're a man of Christ, right?
Yes.
You spent quite a bit of time in the military.
I wasn't. I grew up pretty much here in Paris, over on Irvin Street.
Yeah.
And there were 7 of us. I was the baby of 7. Didn't have a father in the home. And
you had to fight for everything that you got then, didn't you?
I will tell you this. It was rare for us to have meat, but if we were able to have chicken one night, you would think that the baby would get special consideration, but no. If we had chicken, Patrick, my piece was the neck. I don't even think they even package that with the chicken anymore.
No, I don't think so.
But the baby would be over in the corner chewing on a chicken neck. So I grew up hard.
Yeah.
I grew up hard. We were your basic booger heads.
You didn't have
a father in the home. Didn't have a father in the home. We were very poor and very, very trying. But you know what? A lot of kids have challenging situations in their homes. It may not be poverty, it may not be a lack of a father there. But one of the things that we teach the children at Real Hope is that it doesn't matter what your situation is.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for bad behavior. We hold children responsible for their behavior, but we also try to identify what are those underlying issues. Because there's no excuse, but there's often reasons.
Yeah.
And if sometimes we can address those reasons, then that will alleviate some of the bad behavior.
Yeah.
But that's where my passion comes from. I had help growing up. I had men who came in and were mentors to me, to help me to understand that the human spirit can rise above the negative. Not to go through life looking at myself as a victim, but to overcome. And that's what
That's a great attitude.
That's what we teach children at Real Hope, and that's why I want to build a youth center where we can give children proper tools to make better decisions in life.
So we got a picture up here of your vision, or the vision for the Real Hope Center, and let's tell people about the Real Hope Center, like what it stands for. Real
is an acronym.
It's an acronym.
Recreation, education, arts, and leadership. And these are the pillows that we build our programming upon with our children.
Okay. And during the pandemic is that whenever you really came up with the concept of moving to a new location? Because you're currently are you sharing space, or you use space with First Baptist?
I'll tell you, we recently relocated from Central School, where we had been since 2010, over to First Baptist Church. They offered us the facilities, and this was so important to us because it brings us more centrally located to the families that we serve, and also we're able to provide the kind of security and protection that our children need, especially this day and age, in their program. So we were very happy to be at First Baptist Church, but this is just a temporary move as well. My vision started when I first became aware that the position was available. I was out mowing grass on a Saturday, and a friend of mine sent me a text message and said, "Carl, the director of Real Hope is retiring. I think you would be a good fit for that." And I sent him a message back, and I said, "Thank you for thinking about me, but I said I've already
Thanks for thinking of a job for me, huh?
I've already got plans," and I said, but thanks anyway. And I returned to my mowing, and over the course of this next hour, it really began to sink into me, this vision, that what I knew that Real Hope was an after-school program, but the vision was that I wanted us to grow into our name.
Yes. Our
name is Real Hope Youth Center, and right now we're just an after-school program. And so during the pandemic, that was when I really began to formalize a better approach about how to go about doing this.
So we're showing some of the images of it looks like maybe volunteers with the students.
We have volunteers that come in with our kids. One of the things that I'm most proud of in our programming is that we have a homework room. And a lot of times children, and I know it was when I was growing up, not having supervision. When I came home from school, I went one way and the books went the other way.
Yeah.
So we work hard to make sure that those children get their homework done while they're at Real Hope before they go on back to their homes.
Now, how do children become members, or how does Real Hope find these children, or how do the children find Real Hope? That's actually a great. How do children find Real Hope?
Yes, that's very good and excellent. We advertise. We do a lot of things. Right now, unfortunately, we are full. We are only able to have 30 children in our program, and we are full right now. But we do encourage people to still reach out to us, and we'd be glad to take your child's application and put it on file for when a slot opens up.
Is 30 the maximum that you can have based off of volunteers?
Well, that's one of the reasons why it was important for us to relocate to First Baptist Church as well. We follow state regulations in everything that we do. But there's another level of state certification that without that state certification, the most you can have is 30 in your program.
Okay.
And without state certification, you can't run summer programs.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, over at the old school, the building is so old, and without the security procedures in place, we could never get state certified.
Okay.
So the relocation to First Baptist Church will give us an opportunity to get state certification, so that if we can open up the doors to more children, we can do that. And also, most importantly, moving toward our vision, we need to start building some summer programming.
Okay.
For 12 years.
As opposed to just being during
Well,
the
for
school
12
year,
for
I
12
guess.
years, when school was out until school started back, we had nothing to offer children. We had nothing to offer families. So with the state certification, we'll be able to start building some summer programs for our children, and all of that is part of our vision of growing in to our name.
What's the age that these children are?
We currently serve in our main programming students in grades 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a limited number of slots for students in 6 through 8. Those children, we focus on the leadership, developing leadership characteristics and things with them. And we used to do the higher grades, but with our numbers and everything, we want to give most of the numbers to the smaller age kids, so
Yeah.
we just cut it off at the 8th grade now.
Well, that's the age that where you're still trying to mold them and still trying to help them and influence
Absolutely.
them. The younger that you can offer them show them a vision for how to grow and how to become
and help them to understand.
adult.
Speak to the spirit of the child. Help them to understand, no matter where they're at in life, no matter what their situation. We speak to the spirit of the human being that can rise above the circumstance. It's not that we don't consider those bad circumstances. We do the things that we can to address those. But we help the child to understand that you are the one who are responsible for making decisions in life.
Yeah, eliminate the blame, the victim mentality, kind of out of their vocabulary. Is that where you want to try to get with them?
Well, we want to. Society has a way of feeding into the victim mentality with children. Oh, the poor thing! What did you expect out of them? Look what they had to go through. I understand that.
They didn't have neck bones to eat them, did they?
I understand that, wanting to help. Let's find encouraging ways to help.
Yeah.
Let's help the child to stand up and rise up above. I want to speak to the vision part of it a little more if I can. I want to say this to people who will be listening. A lot of people don't realize that suicide is the second leading cause of death among youth ages 10 to 19 in the United States of America.
Really?
Second leading cause of death. And the first leading cause of death is accidents. But you know, an accident could be because you fell off a cliff, because you drowned, because you got hit by a car. So it's a catch-all category. Suicide is a very specific, self-inflicted event.
Yeah.
And it is the number 2 cause of death with youth ages 10 to 18, 19 years old in the United States of America. Our kids need our help. During the pandemic here in the state of Tennessee, the suicide hotline for youth had an 800% increase in hits. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, it had an 800% increase in hits
from their peers or from other mentors or from other family members that they didn't see any hope.
We had a young person, a young teenager here in Paris last year that tried to commit suicide. Fortunately, they were not successful. A sibling came in. They had taken an overdose of pills. A sibling had come in, found them, and was able to get them to the hospital, got the stomach pumped, and was able to avert that bad situation. People didn't hear about it because it wasn't. It didn't turn out to be a terrible thing as far as a statistic. The only way I know about it is because it was their little brother who was in my program who told me about it. Said, Mr. Carl, my sister tried to commit suicide. It's the only way I knew about it. It is a very real thing. You know, back when we were kids, it's always been hard growing up. with peer pressure and bullying
Yeah.
and all those things. Always been hard, but doubly hard today, because it used to be, if you got bullied at school, if you got laughed at school, which I did quite a bit because I was poor. If you got laughed at school, you got bullied at school, at least when you came home, you came into
Yeah.
your home, you closed that door, you
Yeah.
had sanctuary. Our kids don't have
They don't
that
have it
anymore.
anymore.
With modern technology, the bullying comes right into the homes, and all the shaming and all the things that people do comes right into the homes that bullies our children. So our youth need our help. I've been told our community is not big enough to build this youth center. I don't believe it. I do not believe it at all.
I agree with you. I think this is an absolute must.
It is a must. Someone said, well, just because you build a youth center, it doesn't guarantee that our kids are going to be okay. No, of course it doesn't.
No.
But that doesn't release us from responsibility.
No.
To give our children the best tools, to set the table for them to make the best decisions that they possibly can in life. I retired from the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I spent my whole career seeing the backside of the neglect
Yeah.
of our youth on the front side.
Yeah.
I handled budgets of millions of dollars through the community reentry program of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the money that was shelled out, helping people coming out of the federal prison system to rebuild their lives and put the pieces together. Millions of dollars are available on that backside, and rightly
Yeah.
so, because they are coming back to our communities. We want to do everything we can to help them to have the best opportunity for success. But you compare that, and I look at that, and I compare it to how little is available on the front
Yeah.
end to help our children. It was Frederick Douglass who said, it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. And I may add that it's cheaper too.
Yeah, I saw that quote on your website, and
Yes.
I agree that and your what you've seen through the Bureau of Prisons and seeing
Yes.
if some of these people would have just had a little bit of help at an early age, what could have been stopped, or how could they have turned out better, or any of that? And you're right. It's comparatively speaking, for a lot of it's just about giving time or giving them a place.
In society, in government, all of us, we will spend the money to park an ambulance at the bottom of a cliff to collect the people who have come over the top and get them some help. But we can't see the wisdom in building a barrier at the top of the cliff to prevent that.
Great analogy.
And
yeah.
that's what I have a passion for. Being a Christian, I feel like that I was raised for this very purpose. Everything in my life has raised me for this very purpose, to build this youth center. And I want to say to everybody, we are moving ahead. It is happening. It's not happening as fast as I want it to happen.
Yeah, of course.
But we've got the 5 acres. We've got the land.
Mm-hmm. And that's at the intersection of Peppers Drive
and India Road.
That's right.
We put the signs up. We haven't even officially started a building campaign yet. We're looking to start that
that's where the signs are at.
We're looking to start our official building campaign after the first of the year, but we put those signs up and we begin to talk to people, and in a year and a half, we've already raised a little bit over $200,000.
That's great, without even really having a campaign.
That's right. So that
shows that the heart
people
is there.
are responding.
Yeah.
People are responding, and I've told my board, and I told you this, I can't hold people accountable for what they cannot see. And I understand fully, it is my job to help people to see this vision, that we can do it. We have got to work together, but at the end of the day, I believe we'll be able to say that this is the youth center that the people of Paris and Henry County built because they cared about the future of their youth.
Carl, you said something at the beginning, and I believe it wholeheartedly, that you're not doing this for your ego. No. You're not doing this because you got tired of mowing your yard. You're doing this because the passion and the drive to help these children. And I want to make sure I want to say that I believe wholeheartedly that is the reason that this project is where it's at. And I think the support that I've seen already for this facility and for what you're doing is a testimony to that selfless part of you that wants to see the children in our community be better, do better, have more opportunity.
I have to say, thank you so very much. I have to say that the passion comes from a couple of things. I lived that. I thank God I was able to come up and rise above. I had members along the way, men who mentored me, who believed in me, who helped me to see that I could rise up above that. We want to help people, children, to understand whatever form it's in. Some people think that the problems with our youth is just because of their economic situation, and it's certainly not. No. There's a lot of youth in this town, this county. Mom and dad are employed and they're working full time to take care of the families and everything. These children are coming home and letting themselves in and spending time at home by themselves for hours. And I'm not saying this to make anybody feel guilty. I understand we have to do what we have to do, but I'm simply saying that our children need our help. We need to find better platforms to give them better opportunities. Right now, our kids, our youth are hanging out in parking lots. They're hanging out in parks, totally unsupervised. Yeah. And young people, doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. It means they're young people. Yeah. Generally, bad things happen when young kids hang out totally unsupervised. Yeah. We need to have a place for them to go to be able to get them out of these places, let them have fun with some relative, not people standing over their shoulders, but relative supervision, safe place. I envision this youth center, not that everything's going to happen inside, but it will be a hub of information about things that are going on for you.
How big do you envision? And I say large in terms of how many children and how big of an activity area. Is why I'm asking about size.
I am not. My vision does not include an inappropriate building set out on a corner lot. I'll use the biblical term. My father owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, and I believe with all my heart that the people of Paris and Henry County will respond to the level to where we can provide a YMCA type youth center out there for our youth. Yeah. That is what I'm working for. That is what I will be working for. I'm born and raised here in Paris. This is my hometown.
Yeah. Carl, I love the passion. I love this project. I definitely want to be a part, and I want to help you spread the gospel on this, the good news on it.
We want it to be good news for our youth.
For the youth.
We want it to be good news for our youth.
And I love that you pointed out that it's not a socioeconomic issue. This is for all children.
Our youth across the board, they are the ones that are hitting up this suicide hotline.
Yes.
They're the ones that are dealing with so many things that, like I said, it was hard for us, but I want Paris to understand that their youth, their children are under tremendous pressure this day and age.
Well, let's put up there again the how you can get in contact. Here's realhopeyouth.com is the website. They've also got
on Facebook. You can just type in Real Hope Youth Center and it'll pop up.
You want to give them
my phone number if you want to call for additional information or an application for your child. My phone number is at Real Hope is 731-333 1320. I monitor it 24/7.
Yeah. Well, Carl, I really appreciate you taking the time to come by and educating us some more on your vision and on this wonderful project. I really...
It is my pleasure. Thank you so very much. And to the people of Paris and Henry County, you can believe in me, you can trust me. I was born and raised here. I have your children's best interests in mind. We will build this youth center.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to move on into our intermission here. And here's where you can reach us. Email us at gooddayparis@gmail.com. And anytime you got some ideas for some guests, some topics that you would like for us to discuss, events that are coming up in and around Paris and Henry County or out and beyond, you can find us at myparistv.com. You can scroll through at our other sister shows and some of the other things that Kill Media has been producing at myparistv.com. So you can keep up with the goings on and everything that we're doing. Also, here at our friends over at Future Visions Farms, they have Fall at the Clay Sheds. And folks, if you haven't been out to Whitlock, Tennessee and met Jesse and Tyler Smith and seen what they've done with this historic facility, it's amazing. But this Saturday kicks off the month of October, which is one of the things month of October is breast cancer awareness, and they are going to be having an event out there. Let's paint the clay sheds pink for breast cancer, and there's going to be tons and tons of activities. Go to their Facebook page. You can follow more at Future Vision Farms, and Jesse's really good at putting a lot of information up there, but they're going to have all sorts of fun activities. There'll even be activities for you men. I went out there and this past weekend and got to watch some football in one of the shed areas. So they'll have all sorts of activities and fun stuff like that. All right. Canberra, all right. So moving into the next part of our segment, and is another project, and this one is a new project to Paris and Henry County, the Clothesline project, which I had not heard of until just recently, and we've got the person here that's heading it up, that's going to give us some more information on it, Miss Jane Etheridge. Hey Jane, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Patrick.
Great, thanks for being on here. Have a seat here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Wow, so you have taken on a new project here, the Clothesline project, which is it's a project that brings awareness for domestic violence against women and children primarily.
Primarily, but also men and boys. So, but it's not just domestic violence; it's also rape and sexual assault, childhood sexual abuse. Those individuals who've been attacked because of their sexual orientation, also people who've had stalkers, been victims of stalking, or victims of human sex trafficking.
So all forms of violence against someone's person.
Right, but then there's also a real interesting part of this project are those individuals that have lost loved ones to violence, have a chance to honor their loved one that's no longer here and raise awareness, to be honest, of what we lost because of the death of that individual.
So the Clothesline project is a national project, and it was started in Cape Cod, is that right?
Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It goes back a long way,
goes
Patrick.
back.
32 years ago, there was a men's organization out of DC that published some very interesting statistics. And one of those, they had done some research and looked at how many lives were lost during the Vietnam War. And they found there were 58,000 people who lost their lives during that war. At the during that same period of time, they discovered 51,000 women lost their lives and were murdered by someone who professed to love them.
Wow.
So from there, this, just like you are going, wow.
That's a shocking number, especially when you compare it to war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that we'd be having
you're
war at home.
At home.
Exactly.
Wow.
So these women decided we have to do something. We have to raise awareness so that hopefully we can make a difference. We can change things for the future. And there was a visual artist in that group who said, I have an idea. She said, throughout history, women have hung clothes on a clothesline. So she said, what if we make...
And some men, by the way.
That's
Hey,
true.
we're equal opportunity
That's
on
right.
the laundry
There you go.
around here. I always want to get that part clear. Yeah, you hear me, equal opportunity.
Exactly. But back then, it was more often women hanging. In fact, I remember as a little girl going out and playing amongst the clothes as my mother would hang our clothing on the clothesline, and she would talk with our next door neighbor who also was hanging her clothes, and they would laugh and they would share all kinds of stories. Even sometimes cried because there were sad things that they shared.
It gave them a chance to go and have a place to talk.
That's right.
Right.
And with a little bit of safety net because they couldn't even necessarily see each other. They were listening to each other's stories, but they couldn't necessarily see each other. So this visual artist said, I think it would be a wonderful idea if we tried to bring together survivors of violence or those people who've lost loved ones, and we use T-shirts and let them tell their stories.
On the shirts.
They can decorate them with graphic images, they could write words, but tell their story and the impact that their violence had had on their life. And out of that, they said, we'll raise consciousness. We'll raise awareness in our community of how many people have gone through and experienced violence. In other words, we'll break the silence. Things that have been kept behind closed doors, we're going to air society's dirty laundry. That's what they said. And so from there, that's where the Clothesline Project began 32 years ago.
Wow, 32 years. Now, you have retired from, you were director of the, what was it, the Women's
Center at Murray State.
At Murray State. So you've got some experience in the clinical psychology side and dealing, or helping. I say dealing, helping. with that. So did that lead you into this, or what led you into this project? Was it that, or was it the church,
That's interesting.
or how did you kind of come to this?
Well, originally when I was at Murray State, we had a Clothesline project there, a very, very large one. We had set up a room. We just invited anyone who had survived these different forms of violence to come to this room. All the supplies were there and they could create these T-shirts. Okay. But at the same time, we were in the counseling center. So it afforded them the opportunity to also meet and speak with a counselor, or sometimes the counselors came in with those students, or faculty and staff came too when they were creating the shirts so they could process some things. So I was familiar with the Clothesline Project many years ago. But then when when you retire, you're supposed to do nothing and just kick back and relax. Sometimes God has a different plan. And so I found myself 2 years ago when I was helping with Phases to Freedom, a life recovery program. I volunteered to do a class on domestic violence. And it was so amazing to find out people that I was working with in this class, which became a group, that most of them had drug and alcohol issues, but guess what was in their history?
The violence.
The domestic violence, childhood sexual abuse, rape, and sexual assault, horrific trauma.
What's wrong with people? I mean, why is it? That's a terrible thing, and it happens so frequently that it's almost, for some people, become acceptable. It almost feels like it, that we ignore it. That's what I'm saying. We ignore it.
Okay, and you're right.
I couldn't get my thoughts right, but yeah, we ignore it.
It's just like we don't want to come into contact with things that are just seem so sad and so difficult. And in reality, many times what we do is blame a victim. We'll say, particularly with rape or sexual assault.
It's their fault.
You know, why were you out walking alone at night? What were you wearing? What were you doing?
Sounds like a man asking those questions.
But and women do too, because for women, if they ask those questions and can find blame in the victim, then they know how they're going to be safe, right? Because I won't go those places, do those things. If somebody invites, they ask, did you go into someone else's home? Well, don't we all do that every
exactly,
day?
Right.
You know, you don't think about anything.
You came in here.
Exactly.
You know?
I walked in this. Exactly. And I didn't know the people that I was coming to see.
Sure.
So it's always, but I think it makes sense that we want to believe we're safe. Mm-hmm. So if we can distance from being us and them, then we feel safe. But no one is immune. No one is safe from these horrific things that can happen. And so, but once I was working with these women, I'm now on my third group. And my last group that I just finished said, we need to do something. Yeah. We need to raise awareness of like red flags in relationships that say this relationship is headed in a very dangerous direction. Because what most people say is, why didn't you just leave? If somebody hit
not that
you,
easy.
You're exactly right. And that's what people don't realize, that the physical and really serious sexual violence often doesn't happen in a relationship for a year or even a year and a half. What builds up to that is the emotional, the verbal, what I call financial abuse. You don't even have your own money. The victim, all the money is in the hands of the perpetrator. They control everything.
So mental abuse.
Tons of mental abuse. Mental abuse that doesn't have to be verbal, but tons of verbal abuse in just putting that person down, degrading them, making fun of them, doing what we call gaslighting, which is saying, you are crazy. That isn't how it happened. No, I don't know.
Making them think that something's wrong with them.
That's right. So that goes on for such a long period of time that a person is really broken down. They've also been isolated.
Yeah.
They don't know who to call. They don't have a car. They don't have any money. They've been threatened, if they have children, that the perpetrator will take the children from them.
Yeah.
Okay? So they can't leave with the children. They have nowhere to go. There's so many factors. And in reality, the one thing to remember is that people want abuse to stop.
Right.
It's not that they love this person.
Yeah.
They just don't want to be abused by that person.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to please that person, do what will make them be nicer. Exactly.
So the project itself highlights or sheds a light on that abuse and the violence, and it gives the survivors an opportunity to release. Is that kind of the purpose of it?
Well, it really has three purposes.
Okay.
So one of those is to raise awareness in the community, okay, of the impact that violence has.
Like how many?
And how many people. Exactly.
Right.
Secondly, it allows someone to get some distance from their violence, for them to talk about the impact that that violence has had on their life, what they experienced, what they felt, and then they stand back. They never put on the shirt. They don't wear it.
Okay.
They just use this shirt to tell their story. And it's amazing how then
here's
when they
like
stand,
with some of those
yes,
shirts. That's just a snapshot of one of the projects in another location. And of course that's an indoors, and then this is kind of a close up of some of the ones that have already been worked on and made. And now the abuse or the violence, we don't measure how little that is. It could, and I want the people out there to understand that this is, you don't have to have gone through the most traumatic, whatever the most traumatic, worst thing there is to come out and do one of these shirts or participate.
Right.
Even the small things, the mental abuse,
the mental and emotional abuse.
Emotional abuse, those have a long-term lasting effect on people. We were just talking with Carl Anderson
yes.
With the Real Hope Center, Youth Center, and those types of things that even words to little children will have a long-lasting effect, and adults are a lot worse with what they say and how they manipulate.
And it's so true, Patrick. You know, the saying that we have, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. That phrase needs to be completely tossed
It does.
out of everyone's vocabulary, because you can, in fact, I've had many survivors say, once the physical violence happened, whew, I got a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Okay? But then the words that are said and the mental abuse never leaves them. In fact, they begin saying those same things even to themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really, there's just a lack of understanding. Okay, but going back to those three purposes, because I didn't say the third purpose, and I thought about that. One of the reasons the women in my group wanted us to do a project was because they said that there are so many people right now in our community that they truly believe are suffering in silence. There are people who think, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
Because this keeps happening to me. There must be something wrong with me. And they want to reach those people and say, you are not alone, and you can survive this. And here's what to be watching for, and then for us to be able to provide resources so that people actually hopefully can. I mean, I hope people see this show and go, oh my goodness, this is the relationship I've been in for 2 years. I really want, or this happened to me when I was a child and I just was told, hush, don't tell anybody, don't share it, but yet it's affected their life, not just then, but 20, 30, 40 years down the road. They still have these triggers that suddenly cause them intense fear. They still have these doubts about their worth and value. So many things that really originated from that childhood trauma that they experienced.
Now, we were talking about before the show started some workshops that you have coming up. So the shirts, you have some shirts made, but it's not over. This project is, I think you said you had 3 more workshops?
3 more workshops scheduled.
And tell us what we could expect, or what the viewers could expect at one of those workshops. What would they need to do? What would go on? Who would be there? Something like that.
We typically have, we offer it to groups. So we've had clients of different centers come with the people that they are working with, but we've also had a few public workshops.
Okay.
And when people come to the public workshop, first, we're very careful about entry. We want to make sure that we know why that person is there. We do separate our workshops, men versus women, just because
Sure.
a
could be a trigger there,
that's
or
right.
or the perpetrators right there in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just want to keep them separate because it's safer for everyone involved. But once they come into the workshop, we always begin introducing the project. And it's really interesting since we just had September 11th and we celebrated that. Because that's a real powerful way that we start this workshop. And what we do is we talk about how many people we lost September 11th, 2001, through the subsequent war, through the end of 2012. I happen to know that number.
What is that number?
9,838 people total.
Yeah.
In the war
And the
and
attack.
9/11 attacks, okay? What kind of memorial do we have?
We've got lots of memorials to those people.
That's right.
All
and
sorts.
Every year, September 11th
right.
is, and it's a major,
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, you're not downplaying
No,
that
no,
part.
I'm
You're
not
just making
downplaying
a
that at all.
comparison.
Please
Yeah.
don't anybody think that, because it was a tragic event
Sure.
in our country's history, and the loss of lives was just enormous. Interesting statistics. There are two different statistics,
Okay.
both from the U.S. Bureau of Justice, also from the FBI. Most conservative estimates are from the FBI.
Okay.
The number of women who lost their lives to domestic violence from January 2002, okay, so,
Yeah. So
and
we're
through December 2012, 10,915.
wow.
Now, least or less conservative
That's-
estimates were over 15,000.
Yeah.
Where's the memorial?
Yeah. There's not one.
There's nothing. There is no memorial. And so that's such a powerful way to begin the workshop, because that's what we tell people. You are creating
Yeah.
a memorial for lost lives, but also
For
survivors,
yeah.
the people who have survived, to honor the survival.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how we start. Then we take them into the room where any shirts that have been made already are on display for them to be able, we tell them just quietly walk around that room. Then we tell them and explain there are different colors of shirts that you use depending on what form of violence a person experienced.
So
Okay?
So like blue and green, white, yellow.
Yes.
So give it an idea of what those.
Okay, so your yellow and beige, any shade of those, are survivors of domestic violence.
Okay.
Your green, blue, any shade of those are childhood sexual abuse. You can notice the smaller shirt.
Oh, yeah,
right?
smaller shirt.
Okay. The purple are those individuals who have been suffered violence against them because of their sexual orientation. We have gray shirts that are made by people who've been victims of stalking and have survived that. Black are for individuals who have been victims of sex trafficking. Red, burgundy, pink, orange, any shades of those are those survivors of rape or sexual assault. And the white shirts, which have surprised me a lot in terms of the number that we have that have been made in our community, those are the shirts of people no longer here. And their family and friends have wanted to honor their memory and tell their story on white shirts. And I really underestimated. I bought 10 shirts. That was it.
Yeah.
10 white shirts, and we have 16
Wow.
that have been made. Now, some have been made by for one person, multiple people.
Yeah.
But since 2016, we've had at least one murder-suicide in Paris and Henry County. And I honestly didn't know that. And so those shirts
That is a shock.
have,
The numbers are shocking, and I'm sobered by this whole discussion. the tragedy with the violence seems like something that could be very much prevented. And you making the point about the non-memorial, I guess it's just hitting me, just to think about that. And Domestic Violence Month is also the month of October. We talked about Breast Cancer Awareness Month being the month of October, but domestic violence is also the month of October. And you're officially kicking this project off at the courthouse on October 3rd. Is at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
Outside on the courthouse steps. And we will first have just a brief ceremony. Judge Snyder, Vicki Snyder, will be speaking at that. We have a survivor who's going to tell their story. We have some myths versus realities about domestic violence, because there are so many misunderstandings, misperceptions of how this happens. We have empty chairs that are set, will be sitting down front, covered with a white cloth, and families who have lost loved ones are going to honor their loved one with pictures and objects and however they want to bring that person, make us realize who that person was. We read a news article about their death, but we don't know what we lost. We don't know who they are. And so those chairs will be decorated. We have a poem. We'll have an advocate speak from the Women's Resources and Rape Assistance Program, Laura Winston, and then we will unveil the art exhibit. So it'll be, it sounds like a really heavy subject, and it is. But on the flip side, I believe that there is hope. By dealing with what is, and all of the community joining together, we can prevent things from happening.
And we're a lot stronger as a group, and people are a lot stronger when they feel like they're a part of a group.
That's right.
And even people that are survivors feel stronger when they're part of a group.
You are exactly right. That's why we hang these shirts. They have to touch on the clothesline, because that's what they are doing, connecting with each other. At the workshops, it is amazing to watch people just saying.
I imagine a lot of people feel like they are the only one on the face of the planet that's going through this. What did I do to put myself in this position? And really, they didn't do anything.
No.
They were the victim.
And then they walk around and go, that's exactly the way I felt. That's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly the impact. I mean, it's like they are just suddenly like, oh my gosh, I have a family of survivors. So they begin to get stronger. I have not had one person who left the workshop who didn't say, this was so beneficial. Something I didn't say earlier that probably touched me the most. I wasn't prepared for this either, that there have been so far 3 survivors of domestic violence who have come and created a double shirt. They have a yellow shirt and a very small, tiny shirt because their babies were killed by the perpetrator. And that was like, that was the most painful thing that most of us that were organizing and were working with individuals, but it's amazing what survivors do for each other, that they just cried with each other.
I would have been crying with them. I'm about to cry right now. What'd you do that to me for, Jane?
Cry.
Oh my goodness.
but at the same time, we're doing something.
I know. Yes.
And that's a positive thing for people. And one of the young women said, I've never talked about this. And this has been so helpful to me. So it's worth it.
It is.
I think the community is going to really be touched.
Yeah. Let's get out there, you guys, and let's really show up. And on the 3rd, which is this coming Monday, August October the 3rd, this coming Monday. Hey, it's going to be cool. It should be cool, so it won't be an excuse about the heat or anything like that. Show up and support the survivors of domestic violence. If you're not a survivor of domestic violence, show up and show support for these people, because it takes bravery. It takes a lot for these people to be able to come up. Here's the information here, and you can contact on the, I believe that phone number is
731-707-0930.
And you can schedule a time to get in one of these workshops.
And there is one, Patrick, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
And it's at First Christian Church.
Okay.
And it'll start at 6:30 to 8:30. And it's not in their sanctuary. It's on, Blythe Street. And there's an entrance there, like double doors, where you can go downstairs. On Thursday, there's one, but it's at Bethel.
Okay.
But it's in the Fine Arts building there in room 101, and that one is from 7 to 9:30. Then there'll be one on Sunday for men who either survived childhood sexual abuse or survivors of domestic violence, and we're doing
which is
that
a lot.
one.
There's a lot of that.
There are a lot. 28%.
Yeah.
Of those that are reported domestic violence are men.
Yeah.
Okay? So, yes, it happens.
Yeah.
But men often don't want to come and share their story, and particularly with women.
Right.
They just don't. But we really want them to know that we know they're there. So we're giving them an opportunity. And again, if any man is interested in being a part of that, they would call that number and then leave a message, or they can text that number and say, I'm very interested in being a part of the workshop, and I'll provide them with all the details of where to be.
Jane, amazing project. Thank you for bringing that to Paris and Henry County. I know that it's going to touch a lot of lives, and I thank you as a member of this community for what you're doing in that regard.
Well, and I thank you, because a lot of people, again, don't want to, they don't want to deal with it. You know, they want to leave it as a family problem or leave it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But it's time.
It is.
It's time, and we can make a huge difference in people's lives. And I believe make such a stronger community for adults, their children, because many children witness domestic violence, and that really impacts them too, and they don't want to talk about it, and then they grow up thinking that was normal because that's the only way they know how to survive. So it really gives us a chance to change the present and the future.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from two amazing programs that are headed up right here in our community. Carl is focusing on the youth and trying to help them before they find themselves in a bad spot. Jane, unfortunately, fortunately is working with survivors of domestic violence or any type of violence against them. And I just have to say, hey, what a great group of people that we have in our community to be taking on these hard tasks. And Jane, thank you so much for being here.
I'm really grateful for the chance.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Good Day Paris. Hey, next week is going to be interesting as well. I'm not real sure how it's going to work. There won't be any animals in here, but there's a good chance that I might end up on my back, because we're going to have, well, not like that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me clarify. We're going to be having now I'm tongue-tied. A program that the chief of police from the city of Henry is going to be in here and we're going to be doing a session on women's being able to protect themselves, and I'm self-defense, and I'm going to try to attack them. That's why I said I might be on my back. You know, everybody, let's clear that up here, okay? All right, so tune in next week at 7 o'clock, Tuesday, Good Day Paris, or myparistv.com, or on YouTube at www.gooddayparis.com. And as always, I hope that you have had a good day, and I hope tomorrow is a great day. Take care.